You'll probably be hearing my air conditioning again for the second time, but you don't have to deal with it if you happen to stumble and watch this video. And I most definitely promise the information in this video will be very valuable and informative because I will be telling you my advice and my hack, my quote unquote hack, on not skipping some of your most dreaded body parts, muscle parts, um, whether it could be your abs, your calves, your forearms, or even your neck. Because in today's video, I'll be discussing and I'll be giving you my tips and tricks as to avoid skipping those most beloved and most androgenic muscles ever. Um, because starting off, my number one tip in avoiding skipping those muscle groups altogether is you superset it in between compound lifts. Um, I've learned this tip, this tip or trick. Um, I learned this tip and trick by Coach Paris Butler, aka Bold Omniman, and Natural Hypertrophy. Um, what I do is, so for example, let's put on my lower body session, for example, I per se do a superset of barbell back squats and then heavy weighted pull ups. Don't ask me why I superset squats with heavy pull ups because technically every lower body is a posterior work. So that's besides the point. Again, when I do a heavy barbell squat before doing a heavy weighted pull up, it would definitely tax my central nervous system, in which the act of sandwiching a small body part in between those two heavy compound lifts with my point of supersetting. Let's say I'd superset, I super saiyan, super saiyan. I'd superset probably my calves or my tibialis. If you happen to skip tibialis, shame on you. I probably supersetted my abs in between those two heavy compound lifts, or probably even my neck. Again, also to those who skip doing neck work, shame on you as well. And what the tendency of what it does, although, yeah, sure, probably it won't do much, but better than skipping it altogether. So in every superset I do, I sandwich uh, very light work of your abs, your calves, your neck, even your forearms. So that would be my first tip. Then my second tip would correlate with the first tip, as you should consider this type of small movements or small exercises as an active rest instead of just staring at the phone. Then unconsciously you'd be surfing on the internet, on Instagram, on TikTok for more than 5 minutes. Although if your goal is strength, strength based, strength centric, whatever you want to call it, yeah, sure, more than 3 to 5 minutes of rest is very optimal in strength gains. But in the realm of bodybuilding, in gaining mass or hypertrophy, mm, instead of just staring onto the abyss or having a long yard stare while you're just on the dumbbell racks, why not do an active rest? For example, again, on the first tip I did, on the first tip that I gave, um, you could do um, seated calf raises or hanging leg raises, or do some bodyweight neck curls or neck extensions if you happen to have the privilege of having the possession of a neck harness, instead of just, you know, having a stare contest with those heavy ass dumbbells that you could probably not lift if you're not serious enough at the gym. Then the third tip that I would like to give to you in avoiding skipping this most precious and androgenic muscle groups is you should do less variations as to avoid fatigue and jump volume. The likelihood of you doing this supposedly small muscle groups or small movements resulting to jump volume is probably very high. My tip for you to avoid doing less jump volume as much as possible is you should do less variations. Do exercise variation that works best for you. For example, in my abs, I do one to two leg raises variation to crunch sit up, if you would like to call it, or crunch variation, and one oblique crunch variation. I prefer the standing dumbbell oblique crunches, wherein you hold the dumbbell on one side of your body and then you proceed to do some crunches while you're standing. Or let's say, of course, I never skip neck work nowadays. I never skip neck work nowadays, so I just do neck curls and neck extension, and that's it. Um, of course, so this would tend to being more consistent, and you avoid burning out. Then the fourth tip that I'll give to you in being the fourth tip I would give to you in being a total Chad, uh, given that you don't skip the small muscle groups that would probably beneficial and in avoiding weak links, is you should program accordingly, and you should consider the muscles that are correlated that will be supersetted in your program. What I mean by this, for example, you should avoid doing decline sit-ups if you're going to do some heavy hip hinge or posterior work, because the decline sit-ups would definitely uh, is definitely most definitely taxing on your lower back, in which this would also be a huge demand in performing heavy hip hinges or posterior work again. For example, doing deadlift variations, doing good mornings, even doing some rowing variation that would require a strong and stable lower back. Again, you could probably just do cable crunches instead of doing decline sit-ups on the decline bench or the GHD setup. Or, for example, I tend to superset my forearms during my pushing day instead of supersetting it whenever I'm doing heavy pulls. For example, I never do forearms alongside heavy weighted pull-ups or heavy rowing or pulling. So, and then my final tip, you should prioritize the hardest variations on your weak links and then continue on. What I mean by this, if you are going to again program, not only you should consider the lineup of the muscle groups that you would superset, also consider the variations that you are going to use on doing these types of active rest or supersetting of this small muscle group or small movements. For example, hanging leg raises in comparison to doing a cable crunch or a dumbbell side crunch, is most definitely taxing on the central nervous system and would accumulate more fatigue again compared to doing cable crunch on cable machine station. Thus, you would probably milk more volume and frequency, if that's the right, or actually, you'd milk more volume in a cable crunch compared to doing hanging leg raises on the deep station or even in a pull-up bar. Or let's say you should prioritize doing heavy dumbbell wrist curls. You should probably perform a heavy dumbbell wrist curls, because it's more difficult. Obviously, it's heavy and it's more fatiguing compared to a light dumbbell wrist extension. So that would be it. This would be just one of my main ideas, and as someone who is continuing to learn the way of the iron and on my fitness goals, again, I'm trying to pursue the art of bodybuilding in my fitness journey nowadays, and I'm correcting some of my weak links. Um, I could definitely say this topic of today's video is one that I would like to share for free, to some novices, some fellow intermediates like me, or even some of the advanced, if they are very open minded enough to listen to an individual like me who is just an intermediate or going past intermediate, um, because I learned this from one of the best in the Noble Natty community. Again, from Coach Paris Butler, from Natural Hypertrophy, even the likes of Alex Leonidas and GBS are still learning even after decades of being in the way of the iron, right? In the lifting community. And of course, sharing is caring, and it should not stagnate on on a single individual. And um, some lifting information that I would like to share on this, on my YouTube channel. So that would be it. If you happen to like the information on this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends even. Um, Subscribe if you haven't. If so, click the notification bell so you'd be notified every time I upload on the future. Comment down below what else you would like to what you would like to say, or what opinions or even tips and tricks, if you happen to relate or agree on my tips and tricks in avoiding skipping small muscle groups, or even disagree. That's very fine to me. And that would be it. Thank you for watching and have a good day.